Hey, everybody, welcome back to Off the Wall. I'm Mike.
What's up, everybody? I'm Bogz.
Episode 2 of season 3 of The Mandalorian is here. Bogz got to review the last one. We were all busy. uh, so we got it up eventually, but now we're here to watch this one, episode 2, the Mines of Mandalore. We got to go take a bath. That's the mission. Is we got to go take a bath. I had a lot of fun with this one. I enjoyed this one. I loved the first one, and this one I enjoyed quite a bit. Again, they're playing it tight with the time, but they're packing a lot in there. Boggs, what do you think of this one?
I really enjoyed it as well. It was longer. I think it was
Yeah,
42 minutes. I think something like that.
40 minutes almost exactly, I think.
Yeah, and obviously I had a recap as well. But yeah, I did definitely enjoy it. I thought it was really fast paced. This episode it was like every scene they didn't waste. Like,
Yeah.
okay, it seems like they fully was focused on moving the plot and story forward. Okay, so yeah, let's deal with the droid. Now let's get to Mandalore. Now let's get to the mines. Now let's get to the fight scenes. Then let's get to the whatever. And then even the dialogue move the story forward as well. Whether it's Bo-Katan stuff, whether it's Din Djarin, and just moving and just getting furthering their story with the dark saber, with what's potentially going to happen with Mandalore, and then what happens at the end, which we'll come to. But yeah, definitely moved the story forward because obviously when he's kind of said in the previous episode that he's going to go to the mines, to redeem himself. I was thinking that will happen over the next few episodes. How long will it take for him to get to Mandalore? Because he needs to get IG-11, etc. But it just happened like quick scene, quick scene, quick scene, and it was all just rolling through. And yeah, I really like that they've done that. So now they can jump to something else, and we'll see where the story goes from here. But yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed this episode.
One thing I liked about this episode too is that so it was directed by someone named Rachel Morrison, who is she's a cinematographer by trade.
Mm.
She's actually was a cinematographer for both Fruitvale Station and the first Black Panther movie. And so she's done a little bit of TV directing. In particular, she directed on some action shows like American Crime and Quantico, which are fast-paced action storytelling. So this is kind of something she's used to playing with. She was kind of
Mm.
playing to her strengths, what she's experienced with. So I thought she did a phenomenal job directing this because, like you said, like they don't waste any time in this episode. They're like, we got a lot to do. Let's not waste any time, especially if we know, because I think in previous seasons the episodes were closer to a full hour. Um,
Mm.
so, but they still kept it. They kept it tight, and at no point I never felt like we were rushing, but I definitely didn't feel like we were sauntering either. Like we were kind of appropriately paced
Yeah.
for how much we were trying to get done.
Yeah, I agree. It should be now because they have been discussing whether it's last season and this season the kind of the whole Mandalore issue, whether it's habitable, whether what's going on with the planet, they want to return there, do they not, the different factions. I think a lot of that got discussed and filled out. So now they can go to the kind of bigger and wider things about the series, like what's going on with Grogu, what's Bo-Katan going to do, where's kind of Din Djarin going to go, which direction kind of the story will go in. So a lot of that was moved forward so we can go on to more important things. So um, yeah, we'll see where we go from here.
Yeah, and we get to the planet pretty quick, and it was really neat exploring the kind of crumbled underworld of what used to be, the domed city of a capital of Mandalore. Because the last time we saw Mandalore was in the Clone Wars when it was still kind of thriving, and we were there with Obi-Wan's where we met Bo-Katan. And so getting to see kind of just that other, she's describing Bo-Katan's describing what everything looked like to Din and Grogu. And it's like, yeah, we've seen that. I found it kind of funny that she was telling Grogu, the Mandalorians and the Jedi used to actually get along and fought side by side. It's like, yeah, he was actually there for that. Because remember, he was alive at the time.
Mm,
He was at the temple at the time of the Clone Wars.
yeah.
And she doesn't know that, obviously, but like, yeah, he was there for that. He wasn't
Mm,
necessarily there to be on Mandalorian, but so again, it was just kind of a neat way of continuing to draw those parallels and connections back to the prequels as we get into a lot of this new Star Wars content that has that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, even at the start of the episode where Din goes to Tatooine and picks up the droid because can't find the parts for IG-11. I believe
Yeah.
that's R5. So R5 is obviously in A New Hope, where
Yeah.
he's the droid with the bad motivator. He finally gets his adventure of being a kind of astro droid and going on a mission.
Yeah.
So if that is the same droid, obviously
It
really
is. I
happy.
looked.
Yeah,
I
so
looked it up just now. It's the exact same R5 unit. Yeah.
there we go.
R5
So
D4.
yeah, if that's you're talking about callbacks to the prequels, that's a callback to A New Hope, to the original trilogy. I love that they do that. And yeah, I mean, quite a few callbacks, obviously, with Bo-Katan discussing her family and how they ruled. She previously did rule Mandalore, with the dark saber, and it was given to her as well. That's another thing that by obviously Sabine, it was given to her, and there was like I believe that she wasn't taken seriously because she didn't win it, via in battle and stuff. So that's kind of contributed to the civil wars and downfalls and stuff like that. So yeah, lots of discussions and callbacks about that, and obviously finding out about Din's backstory as well. Like I think Concordia, the name of the planet was,
Yeah.
his moon, obviously the moon, and also the Mandalorian kind of culture, meaning that it's not necessarily where you're from, it's about what you believe and the way you can be from any of these systems, but it's about the kind of rules of being Mandalorian, the armor, being weapons being like your religion almost, finding your way back home, defending other Mandalorians, whatever, the kind of rules of their creed. And obviously talking, and Bo-Katan mentioned it a lot, that the different factions clashing did contribute to the fall of Mandalore, which was obviously destroyed by the Empire, but that contributed because there's so many infighting civil wars. So yeah, they discussed all of this as well as having some crazy adventures on Mandalore as well. So yeah, they did so much, and filling in, like talking, I noticed specifically to Grogu as well a lot of the time, because there was hardly anyone in the episode, apart from the I forgot the lady's name on Tatooine. There wasn't really any other beings,
Heli.
a few
Yeah.
droids. Yeah, a few droids. So yeah, and seeing what else Grogu can do as well. Obviously, we haven't discussed that yet. That was interesting as well.
Yeah, and to get into that, like, we know that time has passed since the end of Book of Boba Fett and the beginning of this season of The Mandalorian. Grogu he's not speaking, but he is verbalizing a lot more.
A little bit, yeah.
It's pretty adorable.
Yeah.
He obviously has kept with some of the training he got from Luke as far as his ability to move around more, and his leaps, especially. We see a lot of flips today. And as well as we see him, we saw him in the last episode using the Force to spit himself in the chair, because that's awesome. This time it's like, I gotta save Daddy, get the hell out of my way, creepy troll thing that that lives here. And but obviously also he is taking in the lessons Din is giving him. We've seen several instances of Din trying to teach him things about how to be a Mandalorian, and he's learning how to read the maps, and he points at it to tell R5, like, we gotta go there. We had a lot of character development, I felt like, from Grogu, and that's not something we've really gotten to say a lot in 2 seasons of The Mandalorian and a season of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, definitely. And that starting from that flip that on Tatooine that he did, similar to obviously Yoda in Attack of the Clones when he fought Dooku. So we've kind of seen that before. But yeah, you're right. He's and I don't see that as just like a funny, cute thing. That's something directly that, as a consequence of being with Luke, training that time, he can do things like this. And it's just interesting seeing what else he can do and how proficient he is now with the Force, because obviously we didn't see them 2 years really. So I would really like to see what else he can do. And yeah, he was, with obviously with it, when he pushed that, I forgot the name of the creatures that are on Mandalore. Sorry, that obviously Force pushed him and trying to save obviously Din as well. With that whole kind of,
Alamites. They're called
yeah,
Alamites.
that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They look like they reminded me. Did you ever see the TV series The Incredible Hulk? Like the old
Yeah,
one
yeah,
from
yeah.
like the 80s. Yeah, it reminded me of like what the Hulk used to look like. I don't know
Oh,
why
with the
exactly. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just like
yeah.
the whole green paint all over him
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, obviously seeing Grogu trying to save Din as well when he was captured by that weird, almost grievous kind of looking
Man,
creature with the whole
how was
um
that thing?
yeah, and all that whole in everything in the mines there really reminded me of Lord of the Rings, in Return of the
Mm,
King, where obviously Sam goes to save Frodo,
mhm.
when he's captured by the spider creature, and he goes on his own, through the mines like Grogu was to try and save him, caught by this big spider creature. Yeah, so and as you said, getting back to Bo Katan, listening to, oh, he said that side, yeah. A little convenient, obviously, all that was.
Yeah,
And yeah, he obviously went back but I like how she, read the computer system and the droid as well, to see where he was, to, fill in a bit more, detail there, because it was like a little too on the nose kind of thing of how he got back. But yeah, and then going on to Bo-Katan, who kind of stole the show really this episode.
yeah.
Seeing how we know obviously from watching the Clone Wars and Rebels how kind of badass she is, but
Oh, we saw
seeing
we
it,
saw some of it in Mando season 2 in the finale and in
true,
the
true,
episode she's introduced in.
yeah, seeing it, her with her weapons and how more advanced she is, particularly with the dark saber. That's really, really
Yeah.
interesting. And how we saw Din using it early in the episode, struggling with the weight of it, and that kind of trajectory of how to use the saber, but and how proficient she was, destroying that creature. And I did get, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I did get a sense of Grogu perhaps being a bit reluctant with her. So I'm not fully trusting
Yeah.
Bo-Katan this episode, or this series so far. I believe that she has other intentions, even though she did save him several times this episode, Din Djarin I'm talking about,
Mhm.
and she kind of protected Grogu and stuff. But I really think she's going to try and take back the dark saber or battle for
Me
it, um, or something else is going on with her that we're going to see. But at the same time, I did have a little when it was kind of Din and her talking, I did get like, oh, is there a bit of chemistry here? Did I,
Mhm.
am I sensing like, oh, is this potentially a romantic thing? Because obviously they kind of both want to, potentially lead Mandalore one day.
Yeah.
And, she's like royalty and, she's kind of alone a lot. And, the whole kind of getting together thing could be, unite the empire. And then what we see at the end, if they manage to, you know, capture a mythosaur, I believe it's like Legends lore that anyone
Yeah.
who rides a mythosaur rules Mandalore. So if
Well,
they
they're
manage to
supposed to be
tame,
extinct, weren't they? Like this is
yeah,
I thought they were
exactly,
like God gone. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's why it was kind of such a surprise to
Yeah.
her to see it at the end, and whoever kind of tames one or captures one, whatever, is the ruler of Mandalore. So I think maybe them two together. I did get, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I did get a bit of chemistry there. I thought, oh, okay, maybe it could be a romantic thing, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I the thought crossed my mind.
Hmm.
I think what they were going for was more of a like finding that mutual like respect because like we know they respect each other as warriors, but in
Yeah.
terms of being Mandalorians, it's like two different religious sects, you know.
Right.
He's
Hmm.
she thinks of him as this as a cultist and as a
Sure. Yeah.
and he kind of sees her as sort of a heathen almost like you like we like what like he says to her like what do we have without our creed like
Mm,
our people are scattered without the creed we're not a people anymore
mm,
and I think it was a little bit of him starting to kind of see things her way like when he says like Bo-Katan was right the planet's not cursed like
mm,
but then also to see her like when he gives her the this is the way acknowledgement and when he finds out about how her father died the idea of dying defending Mandalore. I think in seeing him, because other than just fighting alongside him, she hasn't like seen him at his most, for lack of a better word, religious when it comes to his Mandalorian beliefs. Getting to see him like truly living in that state, she hasn't seen that side of him, or probably that side of the religion in general. She's probably kind of having a moment herself of like, okay, maybe they're not all bad. Like it's so I think it's that kind of just this mutual respect outside of combat developing for each other. But I also, my first inclination was like, are they gonna, is this a thing? But I also agree with you. I don't think Grogu totally trusts her. I think she's getting ideas of like, I could take the Darksaber. Like I think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, and also when he went to bathe himself in the
Yeah.
water, and like the respect that she kind of immediately gave him to let him do his thing, until he's obviously sucked down. But yeah, I did notice like a shift in her, uh, like like I said, like respect for Din. Yeah, showing his kind of, you know, displaying his religion almost, you know, in terms of the creed and stuff, because she kind of no longer adheres to any of that stuff. So, yeah, and she kind of blames these different sects for the fall of Mandalore, as well as the Empire. So,
Yeah.
yeah, watching that, maybe it was softening her kind of harshness with the different sects and stuff. So, yeah, again, all that was interesting. And then obviously he got kind of dragged down right to the bottom of the kind of the mines or the waters or whatever, and she saves him, and obviously to see the mythosaur, um, which, you know, as you said, it's been extinct for what, thousands of years. She said earlier, obviously in the episode, that that's where the mythosaurs used to kind of live. But yeah, and if, you know, if they manage to tame this thing, you know, how much that would, you know, to their enemies, you know, how much would that be a strength? And it made me think of Grogu though. So, you know, with the whole space whales things, and we've seen in Rebels, Filoni does love the creature force kind of control thing. You know, Ezra Bridger
Yeah.
was very strong with it. And
Ahsoka.
yeah, and obviously we see Anakin doing it in, like, I don't know, Attack of the Clones, obviously Ahsoka as well. And, you know, just I think that, you know, we have seen Grogu like control animals and things like that. So,
Mhm.
and creatures and monsters and stuff. So,
He put a
and
rank for to sleep.
yeah, he put Rancor sleep, and also the other, I forgot the kind of name of the creature, but I think it was in the first season. We kind of lifts it up. He was about to kind of kill Din Djarin. You know, it's like a massive rhino
Oh,
with
yeah.
fur, with the whole egg in the jar thing.
Yeah.
I forgot what that creature's called, but yeah, so he does seem proficient with talking to creatures and things like that. And I just thought with the mythosaur, maybe they might use Grogu to kind of take control of it, or, you know, use his force ability there. So that did cross my mind as well. So moving forward, I think that might be a potential thing. So yeah, I just thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't
I
thought
can't
about
wait to
that.
see it as well, the
Yeah.
size and scale of it, because I think they're doing the monsters and creatures really good this season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They seems like they got a bit of a budget for that kind of thing, because I loved the design and look of the Pirate King in the first episode, the kind of
yeah,
swamp thing looking dude. That was cool looking. Loved the
hmm
makeup work on the pirates. Was
yeah,
very good prosthetics, but that weird cyborg thing that we saw in this episode, or
yeah.
weird, like, great design. I thought for a
Mm.
second that was like some kind of like modded up Geonosian or something like that from its
But yeah,
design.
for a second I did too. Yeah, that's right.
Um,
It's like a mix between that and Grievous, like tech wise, like
yeah,
technology. So yeah, I definitely thought it was Gene Engine, because if there is a one of the, you know, a criticism I may have for this episode, it was a little hard to see in the minds,
a couple
like the
times, yeah,
action stuff. Yeah, when they were fighting that kind of brain thing that has an eye.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I didn't see all of it, especially when he got captured. I didn't know what was going on, and then in the
yeah.
next few scenes, I saw he was in a cage, and it was like a spider creature. I didn't have a clue there, and why is that there as well? Obviously, um, what exactly is he doing? I'm sure that'll get flushed out in the next few episodes, but I had no clue what was going on there. And what is that? Is it on the hunt for Mandalorians? Or I'm just not
Seems
100.
like
Why
it.
was it taking? It seemed like to be taking Din Djarin's blood as well. again, no idea. They didn't discuss it at all.
Yeah.
So
Even
yeah,
on,
they
even
were
on the
kind of
wiki, it's just called a cyborg creature. It's not called like a particular alien name. It's just called cyborg creature. So I don't know. We
okay.
might actually not. I guess we'll see. I mean, it's still early
Mm,
yet. But yeah, it did seem like it was just kind of some weird survivor creature thing that was just living off of, Mandalorian corpses. I mean, there were piles of helmets everywhere. Well,
mm,
there were at a time heads and bodies using
yeah.
those helmets. Um, it was a creepy little thing. But I agree. Like there were a few times it was a little hard to tell what was going on. But that doesn't always bother me as much because it also kind of invokes what it must be like to go through that if like in like reality, like what
Mm,
is you if I was Din in that moment, I'd be like, what is happening right now? As
right.
far as TV watching, though, it does make it watching it a little tough when I can't quite make out what it is I'm seeing. Um, but yeah, we get to the waters and we Din goes to do his bath, and then just that shot, that shot of the eye, and I was like,
Mm,
oh, that's coming back. What a interesting place to end the episode, but
mm.
but now we know like we're starting off next week heavy. That you don't just move on from that.
Right. Initially, I didn't know what it was until I saw like the shaped kind of
Yeah,
a horn or whatever it is, and I recognized it from there. But yeah, so these are there's obviously legends of the kind of older Mandalorians riding them and stuff. So they're gonna make obviously compared to Boba Fett riding the Rancor, this will be like like child's play. So yeah, again, seeing that in full as well, like the actual creature, because I even like the creature in the first episode, the beginning, like the giant crocodile, Jurassic Park style. I thought that was
mhm.
really good, the CG on that as well. So using, seeing a mythosaur, that'd be fantastic. I can't wait for that. And yeah, definitely surprised. And yeah, I'm really waiting to see as well, kind of what, because obviously this was specifically based on kind of a Mandalore episode, but some of
Yeah,
the wider things in this episode, in this season, or like the dangling things, like the whole Wales thing. Obviously, I'm a big Rebels fan, so that
yeah.
can't wait to see what's going on there. What's is there going to be any Luke and Ahsoka stuff? We've got a Thrawn mention last year. What's kind of going on with the Empire in them? Yeah, so lots of kind of open-ended stuff, and because as well, what's really exciting is the thought of the not the cliffhanger, but the stuff that they introduce every episode. Every episode, there's like a shock factor.
Yeah.
So towards the end, obviously, of the episode, so it's like really fun, and you get something surprising and shocking that they leave you with. So I kind of already excited for next week and what they're going to
Mhm.
do. Yeah, so I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I want to see where we're going next. We know, and
Mhm.
because we haven't been introduced to a lot of the cast in this show yet, two
Yeah,
episodes in.
Christopher Lloyd. I'm still waiting for him.
Christopher Lloyd's supposed to be in this
Yeah,
thing, and Tim
right.
Meadows. Um,
Yes.
but also like him bathing in the mines of Mandalore. We're knocking that out at episode 2, which now has me.
Mm,
I thought we were going to get to that
yeah, same.
later in the
Way
season.
later. Yeah,
So now I'm
yeah.
like, well, now what do we do? Like,
Hmm.
what's the big problem? We know from the trailers, obviously, there's a ton more Mandalorians coming too.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm gonna be like, is this season going to be just who gets to rule Mandalore now? Um, is Bo-Katan in some way going to be kind of the overall? I hate to say villain, but antagonist of season 3.
Mhm.
I know that in Book of Boba Fett, we got to watch Boba Fett ride a Rancor, so the idea of someone riding a Mythosaur while holding a Darksaber is kind of the next step up from there. So
Yeah, that's way up. Also, like, I think they really need to spell it out for us. What is Bo-Katan doing now, and
yeah,
what is Din Djarin doing now, and what side are they on? Are they working together? Are they separate? What they're doing with the dark saber? Because they might have to battle for it, or
mhm,
whatever way they're going to go down. Like I think they need to establish clear lines, and then they can move both their stories forward, because it's all kind of smudged together. One minute they're not, in disagreement, then they're working together, then they're friends. Okay, they might be a thing, but they've got this whole tension about the dark saber just looming around. So I'm really hoping kind of in the next episode they get to address that, because I'd like some clarity on it.
Because we only have 8 episodes of this season, and we've already been introduced to these 2 characters we've spent the most time with, Grogu notwithstanding. And I have enough faith in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and in the Mandalorian itself. Like, we're not going to beat around the bush too much. I have a feeling that, like, what we're here, kind of like we were talking about earlier with the kind of weird chemistry. What was that relationship developing? But also looking at just who's slated to direct next week's episode is Lee Isaac Chung, who is the director of Minari, which was a big Oscar contender from 2020. So that's a guy with a big, strong resume. You bring in someone like him in to do that, leads me to think that next week's episode is probably going to be very plot driven, very dramatic, and we're probably going to see kind of the seeds planted of what this season's going to be.
And to the latter half of especially season 2, I personally, I was getting emotional several times, with the whole kind of Ahsoka and Grogu stuff, and obviously with Luke stuff, and in the episodes with in the Book of Boba Fett with Ahsoka and Luke and Grogu and Din Djarin and stuff. So I know that they're gonna go to that kind of emotional, deep stuff, and include the whole kind of obviously Filoni's involved, so that with the kind of Rebels wider story. So I think the actual like Mandalore issues or Mandalorian issues specifically, I think that needs to get. I think that's going to be kind of the first half, like the 4 episodes. After that will be the wider themes that that will be more heartfelt and more kind of, and obviously Grogu backstory, who saved him, that's an overlying thing that I haven't addressed yet as well. Where's he going kind of with the Force, or what's his future plans are? Definitely they're going to address these, but I think that will be later on in the season. So this stuff is, I believe it will be the Mandalorian specific or Mandalore specific stuff. I just like them to definitely, they move the story forward, don't get me wrong, but I'd like them to be a little clearer, so we know now what's the plan moving forward. Because it seems like they've moved it a little bit and they have loads of adventures which are super fun, but I'd like to know personally, selfishly, like what's going on with each character.
I think we all at the same time, it's like, oh, I love this, but I also want to know everything about it. This is kind of uncharted territory for guys like you and me when it's something in Star Wars that we don't know everything about. We're used to knowing stuff. I know that Carl Weathers is directing an episode again this season. And I know that Bryce Dallas Howard is back at one point. Her episodes of The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett,
great,
and Obi-Wan tend to be the best of their seasons. And I know that Rick Famuyiwa is doing the last 2. That's about all I know. And he did the finale. And Rick Famuyiwa is incredible.
I think he did the first episode of this season.
The first one, well, he did the first one of this season, and he directed several episodes in seasons 1 and 2 as well. I mean, Rick Famuyiwa is a great director. So, I'm excited. I got lots to be excited about, and I'm ready for next week. Let's go ahead and do it now.
Comment.
So that's what we think, guys. We'd love to know what you guys thought of this episode as well, so make sure you let us know down below. We just crossed 200 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for putting us there. We're figuring something out. We're gonna do something. We just don't know what yet. Let us know down in the comments if you have any ideas, because we're not striking gold just yet. We're working on it though. We're gonna do something. But please continue to subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you like the video. Follow us on Twitter, and we'll be back again next time with another episode of Off the Wall.